Off the Wall Productions is proud to present Voices of the Methow. This is a series of conversations with interesting folk in and around the valley.
I'm just sitting here thinking about tomorrow, when I haven't even finished with the day.
Hey, this is Byron, and I have Cherob Opfer here with me. Welcome to Voices of the Methow, Cherob.
Thanks, Byron. It's great to be here again.
Why don't you introduce yourself, Cherob?
Okay, well, my name is Cherob, and I'm originally from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I moved to the Methow in April 2016 in the pursuit of a possible relationship, which actually ended up not working out. But I fell in love with the community and the area, and so I spent 2 full years here enjoying the valley and making some very deep, meaningful connections while riding my horse through the mountains.
Well, I'll bet it's been nice just getting back here, huh? The weather's been pretty good, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm surprised you guys don't have any snow yet.
Yeah, so are we. It's kind of dry here, yeah. Well, this is kind of a continuation of a conversation George Wooten had with you about your music just a little more than a year ago. I recently put that conversation up on my series Voices of the Methow on YouTube. Now, you made a CD a while back, right? My 2 cents plus 2?
Yeah, well, it's actually called My 2 Cents Keep the Change.
Oh, I love that. My 2 cents keep the change.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's based on a song that I actually wrote several years ago. Me and some of my friends, we got together in 2013, and I've been pursuing just writing music for, I guess it's easy to take emotion and put it into something productive, and I find that music is a way to really intentionally communicate how I'm feeling, but also to other people who might be able to relate to this situation. And I find that oftentimes music creates a space where you can communicate in a way that you maybe can't do with words, but with the sound and the music and the emotion. Like, even if people don't agree with what you're saying, they still sometimes can connect to that emotion, and it can speak to the deep parts of their spirit and their soul. So we recorded back in 2013, and I've just been kind of playing in some small, open mics or bars or whatnot, and it's been really fun to connect because there's so many people who've shared their music with me and then also enjoyed my music, and so it opened up a whole new community.
Well, I just want to stop and for a minute and just appreciate what you just said. That is some powerful stuff. I know how deeply I've been affected by different music and musicians. There is definitely power and healing available in words and music.
It's so true. Sometimes I'll be listening to the radio, and even I think I've been listening to your station, and there'll be a song that, I don't know if I could ever look it up or find it again, but it will touch such a chord in my soul. It's like someone was reading my mail, so to speak, got into my mind and my heart and just spoke, and it's given me hope, and it's also helped me to feel what I'm dealing with isn't unique to me. Other people are dealing with these things, and it makes you feel like sometimes things are going to be okay. There's hope, and that there's someone there who understands. Even if you don't meet that person, you still know that someone understands, and it's a connection.
Well put. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Just on the local radio station KTRT in the valley here, there's times when I'll hear a song and I'll make a connection. It'll brighten my day, give me a lift, or something. Yeah. That's great. Well, why don't you fill us in on your adventures since you left the valley last fall? You were headed out to ride your horse Apache in a documentary in Texas with some Mustangs, and it sounds like you ended up going to Nepal.
Yeah. Nepal's a long ways from Texas, I tell you what. Yes. Well, there were some gals who had a really cool ride planned from Texas to Canada, and I was invited to join them. And I bought a bunch of pack equipment, and they came and got my horse and actually took him out to Cody, Wyoming, where there was a man named Val Geisler. He was part of the documentary Unbranded. I don't know if you've seen it. It's about some young men who take Mustangs and they train them, and then they rode from Mexico to Canada, the same trail we were going to take. And so she took my horse to Cody, and then we were going to pick up some other horses a couple months after. So I bought a bunch of pack equipment, moved down to Texas, and spent some time getting to know these girls. And they were lovely girls, but it turned out the mission of the ride was going to be to bring hope and healing through how horses can communicate the love of God. And they were going to use Mustangs because Mustangs have a tendency to, because they're wild, they interact with humans differently and they don't always trust, and so you have to build a relationship with them to be able to partner with them. And they wanted to use that as kind of an aspect of our relationship with God, how we connect with horses too. But it turned out that the mission statement of what the ride was about and what the ride was actually turning into wasn't something that I felt in my heart I couldn't be a part of that. And so I ended up not going on the ride, which we parted in a good way. You know, we just came to agree to disagree. But I knew it was sad because I was really looking forward to it. It was a dream of mine, but I know that when one door closes, another one opens. And so I was driving up to see my horse, actually, because he was still in Cody when I was no more part of the ride. And my friends were going to Nepal in 2 days, and they said, come along with us. And I'd been to Nepal before. It was my 6th trip there. And so I said, give me some time to really pray about it. I don't want to do like a rebound trip, you know, like if you break it off with somebody, oftentimes you'll jump right into a relationship just to ease the pain. But I wanted to go because I really would have something to offer and not just heartache. So I took some time. Yeah. Yeah. And then I ended up going to Nepal.
Well, that just begs for you to fill in some more details. What kind of, what did you do there?
In Nepal, last year, we oftentimes will work with children's homes, and there's young people there who, even though they're getting cared for, they don't always have that one-on-one interaction. And so I would go and just spend time with the children. I'd take them for like walks in the jungle. There's like a little zoo, and so I'd take them on little trips to the zoo, and they could see the animals, and we'd eat ice cream, and kind of like the auntie going and spoiling them, but just helping with schoolwork and just loving on them and like giving them the value through time, like spending time and speaking into their lives, as well as going up in some of the remote villages. There was an earthquake back in 2015 that devastated many communities, especially one that I had been involved with before. And so just going and helping to start small businesses like chicken farms, like 40 chickens, you know, is enough for a family to live off of. And just encouraging people and just loving on them, and we do some studying to people who are interested in learning more about the Bible. We'll go and do some like teachings, and we do some prayer. And the cool thing about it is there's a lot of people who get supernaturally healed, and I know that's maybe something a lot of people haven't experienced, but for some reason miracles happen in that place more so than I've seen in the United States. And so we often will pray for people who are sick or dealing with like tormenting spirits. And I don't know if that's something people are, you know, right or wrong. It was my experience of what I saw. And
I got that.
Yeah. Really, really amazing.
Wow. So you're doing one-on-one with the children, you know, some quality time.
Yep.
As well as offering support and love and what you have to give from your heart with the people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what life, I think, is about, is that connection and that relationship and that time of sharing experience. It's so simple, I think sometimes we miss it.
Oh, that's going to shiver down my spine. Yeah, I think that you're on the right track. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's some pretty cool stuff you're into. Is there anything else you want to say about Nepal before we would move on?
I'm going back, actually, in January. And they're some of the most incredible people. I would encourage, if anybody ever has a dream or desire to go to Nepal, to do it. It's super cheap to travel there, and there's great opportunities, but the experience of just the people, part of their culture, part of the Hindu culture is they treat people who come to visit them like they're a god, and that's like their way of honoring their religion. And I work with the Christians, which right now it's really difficult for the Christians because they're trying to get it back to a Hindu nation, and so there's a lot of persecution for the Buddhists and the Muslims and the Christians. But no matter what the religion is there, all the people are very hospitable, and they really enjoy having people, especially from the United States, come over and visit them. They like to practice their English, and they like to share their culture, but their economy right now, they can use the tourism, of course, but it's such a two-way benefit, because going over there and seeing how these people live, and just, it's such an inspiration. Nepal's an amazing place to visit if anybody ever gets the chance to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say something, and I hope it comes out right. That I know with religion sometimes there is struggle for understanding and acceptance of differing points of view and beliefs and things, but I think it's such a blessing when there's the opportunity to rise above in any way you can to connect.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes down to it, it's not about who's right or wrong, but love is powerful, I think even more so than hate, because hate can kill, but love can heal and bring life. And when you see a person for who they are and you don't define them by what they do, but who they are, and you see value, it's amazing. I've seen even animals totally become something else when you love them, and I think humans all the more can connect with love. But when you value someone, they can bloom into who they were meant to be, and it's so powerful.
Wow.
It's so powerful.
Yeah. I've had a couple opportunities and seen some too of people who could hold me, for example, or someone, and really see me.
Yep.
And let me come forward. Yeah, that's powerful.
Yep.
Yeah.
We hide and we try to become what society wants us to be accepted. But when you know that already there's an acceptance not based on how you behave, then you can come into the truly unique individual you are. But I think we have to learn to be loved before we can really truly love, because we call love, but I think most of the time it's not. Usually it's a selfish need of brokenness that we're trying to fulfill on the expense of someone else, instead of this unconditional love that's a gift rather than an exchange. And so it's something I'm still growing in. I still have it's everyday growth. It's everyday learning and forgiveness and laying down like my interests for someone else, but it's such a beautiful thing, and it's very rich and rewarding. So good.
Well, that's like a life's work, is what I'm hearing you say. Yeah, there's a lot. It's a steep learning curve at times, but well worth doing. Yeah.
That's good.
So Cherob, when you got back from Nepal, what did you do next?
Oh, well, when I got back from Nepal, I wasn't sure what the next step was. I was 35 at the time, I'm 36, and so I'm like, shouldn't I be doing something with my life other than just wandering the world? But my horse Apache was still in Wyoming, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I needed a job at some point. So I packed up all my stuff and headed out to Wyoming to find where my horse was, and some people put me up in their house who were boarding Apache. They put me up at their house, and I knew I couldn't stay there all summer, but they were kind enough to let me stay there until actually we were driving one day past a neighbor's yard, and the grass was really long and the weeds were growing all over the place, and the gal who I was staying with said, they had some medical issues. The wife had lost a leg to diabetes, and the husband had cancer that was removed, and so they were not terminal, but they were struggling a little bit being able to keep up with their housework. So she said, well, we could stop by maybe and help them out. So we stopped by and said, hey, if we could mow the lawn or if we could help with anything, let us know. And that struck up a friendship. And so I ended up going because the other gal, she had something to do, work or whatnot. So I went down a couple days later and helped pull weeds. And the gal told me that there were probably a lot of jobs available if I knew how to ride and cook. And it was in Wyoming near Yellowstone. And I wanted a job where I could take Apache so he could earn his keep too, and that I could be with him in the summer. And she gave me the name of a fellow who had an outfitting business, and she said he would have connections, so I called him up, and it ended up that he had a cook, but the cook had just not been able to come in, so he's like, I need a cook, and hired me on the spot. I said, don't you want me to cook something for you? He said, nope. So he took a leap of faith, but I worked with him this summer and saved up some money. That's what I usually do, is I work in the summer, and then I travel during the winter season, and it was an amazing experience to be up in those mountains.
Well, that sounds like there was some great synchronicity going on there, particularly starting out helping some folks with their yard. So what's on the horizon for you and Apache?
Well, I actually just got a drop hitch put on my truck, so I am able to buy a 2-horse trailer, and he's still in Wyoming, and there's a reconciliation ride coming up in December with the Native Americans in South Dakota. And they do a 300-mile ride from the Standing Rock Reservation, where Sitting Bull was killed, on the day that he was killed, December 15th. And then they ride 300 miles down to Wounded Knee. And it's a ride of reconciliation, not just between Native Americans and Caucasians, for people as a whole, and anybody's invited to join. And I feel very strongly that I would love to go and be just a representative of, I guess, my race of being a white person, you know, and honoring the keepers in a way of the land, because they were the original people who lived in this land. And so that's my hope. I'm still getting transportation together. And then after that, I'm heading back to Nepal in January, and hopefully I'll get Apache back to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where my family is. So my sister has some children, and they would enjoy having him around for a little while.
All right. Yeah, that sounds like a really worthwhile endeavor that you're doing. That sounds nice. So is there a way people who hear this conversation can connect with you?
Yes, I would love that. I'm on Facebook under Cherob Opfer, Cherob, last name Opfer, and I keep in contact through there. Even when I'm in Nepal, I find places where I can connect to the internet. Yeah, I would love to hear from people, because I love the connections, and especially in the valley, there's something very special about this place and the people here.
Oh, right on. So, Cherob, is there a chance that you might set up a GoFundMe site so that people could support you if they're so inspired to do so, you know, particularly from maybe this conversation or your music or, you know, whatever?
Yeah, sure. I would love to connect people who might be interested. That would be super helpful.
I would, yeah. It sounds like it might be just to, you know, to continue with your work and taking care of things. So I would imagine that if you went to GoFundMe and you looked for Cherob Opfer, that I would imagine that might be enough to make that connection.
Okay, be awesome.
Yeah. So is there anything we might have missed or that you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Sure. I guess I will end with maybe just the best piece of advice that I have ever heard is learn to let yourself be loved and learn how to love well. Because I think if that's in place, you can do anything, and the motivation is always, we draw, I think, a lot of times what we cultivate in our heart. As we learn how to love in that way of sacrifice, and also letting people love us sacrificially, which sometimes is really hard, I think as we look out for one another, then we're able to cultivate a place of peace and a place of hope.
Yeah. Well, Cherob, this has been really special. Thanks for coming by and sharing your story, as well as your music and spirit. Who knows? Maybe this will be an annual thing, huh?
Maybe.
So, thanks for being on Voices of the Methow.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Likewise.
Cherob's going to take us out with a song of hers called Beautiful, Wonderful Day.
I'm just sitting here thinking about tomorrow, when I haven't even finished with today. And I'm just sitting here drowning in my sorrow, because of all the things that haven't gone my way. But that moon's hanging high in a big old sky, and so I thought that I would just drop on by and say thank you for this beautiful, wonderful day. I know you got some big, big dreams, and they're taking their sweet time, it seems, but just hold on, child, wait and see what comes. Getting there is half the fun, and before you know it, your life is done. So just try and take one day at a time, and you'll be fine. You're gonna be just just fine. Oh, you'll be just fine. Ooh. And I'm just sitting here wondering about the future, curious as to where my life will go. And I'm just sitting here wondering about who I am. When I'm gone, what will my life have to show? But the time's flying by and you can't get it back. You better hold on tight, girl, and stay on track. 'Cause once it's gone, there ain't no second chance. So laugh a lot and let yourself cry, 'cause when you know dead men, well, they don't lie, they don't love, they don't smile or dream. They're just laying and rotting a lonely grave, and as the years pass by, so their memories fade. So find out now what you're living for, 'cause there might be more. You know there might be more. Oh, there might be more. Ooh. You're just sitting there asking me some questions, and it brings even more into your mind. You're just sitting there contemplating the universe. But if you searched, I wonder what it is you would find. Well, I've got my God and I've got my call, but that sure don't mean I don't trip and fall. The thing is that he helps me up again. I want so much to make you see that God's still alive and he lives in me. If that's not true, then what am I living for? God loves you so and he knows your name, and life is more than a tragic game. So go ahead and ask him if he's real. He knows exactly how you feel. Oh, and he's real, and he knows how you feel. Ooh. And I'm just sitting here thinking about tomorrow, when I haven't even finished with the day.
You've been listening to Voices of the Methow, an off-the-wall production. Until next time, thanks for listening.